I had the AirPod in and I'm listening to it, but normally I will do that with my phone and then the computer. So I had to stick the AirPod back in the case and then do it from the computer. So, anyways, welcome to NFT Thrive, you guys. We are here with Mistress Money and SeeME. I see LJ down there. Hope maybe we can get him up as a speaker. Um, Invite your friends. Tweet the space. Sorry, tweet the space out. I did just throw the link into the Discord, so hopefully people will find that there. And Mistress, you have the link in your events on the See Me Discord as well, right?
Yes, ma'am. And that's how I get it going, man. You felt my vibe on that,
Yes,
right?
yes, I love it. I love it.
Yes.
I saw it and I was like, that's
Saturday
perfect because
evenings.
I had just been scrolling for music trying to kind of decide what songs to queue up to, to reset the room, etc. And then you had posted that one right while I was looking through music, so it was perfect timing.
Yeah, it's that vibe. It's Saturday. It's an absolutely gorgeous day. We're coming off of a phenomenal week. I'll let LJ tell you all about it. But yeah, it's just been an amazing week, just regrouping and getting things together. And that's just been the vibe, man. I want to keep that
I
energy going.
love it. Yes, it's a beautiful Saturday here too. I'm glad to hear that it's nice on your side also. It's a beautiful day in Cali. The weather is like just right. We're in the 80s over here, so it's not too hot yet, which is lovely.
You got to take it where you can get it. I'm in Blakely, PA, and there's only two modes: cold and cold. Uh,
I know it's
there's
quite
only
cold where
two modes.
Dunks is. He's tucked away with a blankie, I think, because I know it's pretty cold in
He's
Australia right now.
yeah. It's zero outside, so it's
Oh
pretty
my
cool here
gosh.
at the moment. So yeah, no, we're in the middle of winter though, so you expect that at least. I mean, you're there in summer, Mistress Money, right? So you should be a little bit warmer. Why is it so cold there? What's going on?
It's just where Blakely is located. I'm kind of up at the rim in Scranton, overlooking the valley. So you still get, as beautiful as it is, you still have all the trees, and so it tends to be a little bit cooler than most places. It's outside of the city, but I love it. It's the kind of weather that you can just either sit outside on the deck and enjoy the clear view, or just chill out.
That sounds really nice. Yeah. It's nice having it. Look, I like living in this city here in Melbourne because it gets some nice cool weather at least during summer as well. So when it is summer, it's not always just roasting hot. You get a few cool days as well,
Nice.
which is kind of refreshing, isn't it? You don't want to be just boiling and cooking the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, see, for me, I've always said that I prefer the cooler weather because when you're cold, at least you can layer up, right? Like you can continue to layer and use blankets and stuff to get warm. But in the summertime, when it's just hot, you can only remove so many layers until it's inappropriate, right?
Facts.
And you can't.
Facts.
You
I
feel like
am
you
a
wanted to
fall
like pull
baby.
your skin off, but you can't do that.
Yeah.
So,
I am a fall baby. Let me
mm.
tell you, I love that in between. It's not too hot, not too cold.
Exactly.
I love fall
Yes.
in the States,
Yes, the
man.
spring and the fall, really nice. Just that perfect weather. That's what it feels like today here in Cali. It's like a nice spring day. I will say it's probably a lot hotter outside than it is in my house right now, but I'm chilling in the AC, so it feels great. Anyways,
Nice.
I'm super
Yeah.
excited to have you guys back. I know that you guys are working on some stuff. We got some fun updates. So yeah, whenever you want to start and just kind of give us the rundown, let us know what's been going on with SeeMe.
Yeah, I'll let LJ take it away. Right? Where's our take it
I
away?
know.
Come
Take it
on.
We're waiting. I
away.
think CR3 might be working. I know he did tell us, that his work schedule's been kind of touch and go, and so I'm sure that he'll be joining us, and hopefully we'll get that take it away before the end of the show.
Yeah. His schedule's changed a bit, and he's got some conflicts sometimes on this session. So hopefully he gets to drop in. He normally gets to knock off somewhere around now.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we'll drop it in. And yeah, we need to be taken away to the with that Caribbean vibe,
Yes.
I think. So Need it. I
Yeah,
need
I
it.
just can't do it as well. But anyways, LJ, take it away.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can.
Woo! I second all that notions about the weather. The weather is beautiful in Chicago. I'm actually in and out of transporting a sauna to one of my gyms. I'm moving around right now today, so enjoying the Saturday, but working at the same time.
Awesome.
So I
Yeah,
guess
that
I'll
sounds
start
about
out.
right.
I guess I'll start out with a short little bit about where we're at and what we're doing with SeeME, and then chime in if I can whenever there's a gap or something that similar to what we're going through or whatever, whoever else speaks. But thank you for having the space. I don't know how knowledgeable some are on the call about SeeME, but the SeeME project was on a roll, doing well. Things were growing, and just to be candid and honest, um, did our first load on the Mint, and there was a glitch, the old glitch in the Mint that we're working with. I don't know if you're familiar with Niftify, but Niftify is a shop to earn, or a Shopify type of platform for NFTs, and they're actually amazing. They felt terrible and have been gracious in getting us back on track because of the coding issue. It wasn't something that we were in control of, but so we had to take a break. We had to take a step back, which was kind of cool too, because we got to reorganize where we're at. The SeeME project was brought to me by a couple of people that I know. One of them here in Chicago, another woman out of Canada. Her name is Ramona, and my buddy's name is Cole. We're all neurodivergent, and they came to me with the project of making an impact in the neurodivergent community, providing resources long term for those people out there who are in a position where they don't know how to get help, dealing with maybe a family member or a friend or a child who has autism or ADHD. And I was very intrigued when I heard about the project. I am a business owner here in Chicago. I've also been online for about 15 years in the network marketing space. One thing I was really wanting to know more about was NFTs. So this is my first project, my first NFT project, but it's been a pleasure up until this point working with my business partners, as well as Mistress Money. She's a wizard and she knows the space very well. And I've learned a lot by being beside her in the process, as well as Carmen, who just joined us. Carmen is our communication liaison.
I just invited her to speak. Yeah, as soon as I
Yeah,
saw her come in.
she's been super helpful as well, because she's also kind of more familiar with the space. But I'm a serial entrepreneur. To be honest, I was attracted to the project due to the fact that I wanted to learn more about the NFT space. There's a lot of people out there peddling NFTs, and I don't know, it just seems like an oasis of nonsense, for the most part, with some people. I've seen some really cool projects, and had the pleasure of being in some of these discords with the conversations that have been had, and how much fun some of these projects are. And I really want to do more in the space, learn more in the space, and make a bigger impact. But our project, long term, is by design to create those resources in the Web3. It's been an educational project for me as well. I will have to say that this isn't your standard hype project. It's not one of those ones where everyone's going to be all hyped up and excited, because it's a subject that's often not talked about. People out there in this situation sometimes aren't open enough to share what they're going through in their everyday lives, with dealing with a neurodivergent family member or friend. It can be very costly for sending your kids to school if they have autism, or any kind of treatment in the rehabs, in the getting any kind of self help, if you will. So that's something that we want to teach people. Ramona is a professor in Canada. She's in the health science services space already. She writes a lot of grants for that space, and she's been a tremendous asset, and she is going to be leading the way towards that goal of providing those resources in the Web3 space. We have some exciting things coming up. We are loading up our mints for a new launch date, a relaunch, if you will, in the next 7 to 10 days. Niftify has been gracious enough to kind of help us get to where we need to be. And we've got some new fun things that are going to be involved. They have this cool feature called the mystery box. So you'll be able to go into our website and into the marketplace, and um, there'll be obviously all the mints with some rarities and whatnot, but there'll also be a mystery box, a number of mystery boxes, and in those mystery boxes, there may be a lot of cool things from other projects, maybe mints from other projects, as well as some other things that we plan to put in there. So we're kind of excited about that because we feel like it's something that hasn't been done before. We have an open reveal for most of our mints, so that's kind of cool. You get to go in there and pick the mint that you want. I know that sometimes that reveal is closed and you don't know what you're getting. So in our situation, we wanted you to have the option to kind of choose what you like most about our artwork. The artist is amazing. His name is Glyph Sputnik. He has worked on the Wu-Tang Clan's album. He's done some other great work. He's been a great help to getting this art out to the public. So we're excited because we're actually moving in the right direction again from taking a little break. It's been an undertaking for sure, but we're excited and looking forward to hearing about other projects. And if Carmen or Mistress want to share anything to add to what I've said, then that'd be great, and I'll chime in. But thank you.
You did amazing. You did amazing. One of the things that we wanted to do, that was different, right? A lot of projects just go straight onto OpenSea, but we really wanted a platform to showcase all the product line that's going to come from SeeME. That included our children's book, and our children's book author is here. That's Yomi. Um, and our jewelry line, which Carmen was instrumental in helping to create. And we really wanted to showcase, because not everybody would be able to afford the mints at 420, but still want to support the social movement. So we've got the apparel line, we've got the jewelry, we've got the children's book, all priced at a reasonable amount, so that you can participate kind of like a buffet, right? Pick and choose what's best suited for you. And with the Genesis collection itself, it allows you to gain the passive income by just buying into that limited 2000 series. Passive income from those other product lines. So they were really absolutely amazing. Nifty has done a tremendous job um, with helping to grow projects, and just provide a safe environment for investors and project owners as well with their platforms. So I'm really excited to be working closely with them, and see how far it takes us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and welcome, Craig CR3. We were missing that. Take it away. I know you're probably
Hey,
working, my
what's
friend.
up,
I saw you just
guys?
drop in.
What's up?
What's up,
What's up?
What's up,
buddy?
man?
What's up, Mrs. Money? I'm here, man. Busy, but I'm here for a little while. You know what's going on?
I appreciate you. I appreciate you, brother. You know that. Carmen, I don't know if you wanted to drop a word. I know you're at the Metaverse Expo in Vegas.
I am. I am. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I had to try and find a quiet or as quiet spot, but let me share some great news. So I'm kind of, being that boots on the ground here at an in real life conference. Um, the message, and this is what we get a lot. Like we've spoken about this a lot. Every time we tell the story about CeeMe and share all the fantastic things about our referral process, the artists, all the like little facets of how the founders have built this project with so much meaning in every part of it. I'm showing the art to people. I'm showing the storyline, our vision, and you know what happens? People tell me their experience with somebody who's neurodivergent that matters to them. We are getting such good feedback about the project, about how the art looks, about how what our light paper looks, how the website looks, and it's getting some really great feedback. And here I'm making lots of connections for people that want to put us in front of their communities to help spread the word. So this has been always a great experience for any of you listening. If you haven't gone to an in real life event for crypto, Google it in your city. Find out who's who in the zoo around you, because when you connect with people in real life and talk about the projects that you love and are passionate about, it truly makes an impact. So I'm so proud that I get to go represent the SeeME and the Neuro Collective project out here in Las Vegas at the Metaverse Expo. And I got to meet some fantastic women in the Web3 space on the panel that I did yesterday in the morning, and they are just in love with the opportunity to find out more about us. So just want to report back live for you guys, and thanks, LJ and Mistress. Miss you guys.
Miss
It's
you too,
always exciting at
Carmen.
those shows, right? It's
Oh,
always exciting at those
absolutely.
shows, wandering around and meeting people, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it's great that we've got these spaces now to meet people and share these stories as well. These events are fantastic. How's it there, Carmen? Is it a busy event? What's the show like there?
It's actually a really great event. So TCG World has been marketing this for over a year. We've got some big brands out here, other conferences that are making a presence here. We got to meet a couple of really great people. I've seen some really great technology come out and some really great communities that are centered around NFTs. Gaming is really big at this conference right now. We're also seeing, like today, I brought a special guest that lives here in Las Vegas. His name is Ernie Singleton. He's the former president of MCA Records. He wants to experience crypto and he wants to experience what the metaverse looks like. So we've been introducing him to all the exhibitors out here. But that's what these events are about, right? Onboarding people. I'm meeting people that they don't really understand what this space is, so they come to events like this. And then also too, we're shaking hands with people that are representing their brands. Some of them are just starting, and some of them have been here for quite a while and are still leading the way in terms of innovation. So yes, this has been a fantastic, successful event out here, and kudos to the TCG World team for doing that.
Very nice, very nice. And so you mentioned you spoke at a women's panel there and spoke about this, or you're talking to people at the women's panel? Is that what was
Actually,
going on?
no, I was invited as a speaker on the women's panel. So yesterday there was four women in the Web3 space. We got onto stage. We really spoke about what do we see as the vision, for women's contributions in Web3. One of the points that I brought up that I think is so important is that when it comes to females in Web3, we want our teams to be diverse. We want our communities to be diverse. That's what the world is. And there's still this uncapped population of the entire globe of Earth that needs to come in, and we need to diversify. Also, too, when we take a look at the industries that kind of speak to women, like motherhood and fashion and all other industries, they were built when men were in charge. And so, if we take stand now, become early adopters, overcome the learning curves, build trusting communities that can guide women to come into this space, then imagine what those industries will look like going forward. So that was a fantastic conversation with some really powerful women on stage.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, we're obviously in that stage right now in NFTs where the foundations are being set for becoming experts in this space, really. And I was talking this with some other people the other day, and it was like, okay, you might be just hanging around in these NFT spaces, and you're hanging around in these discords, and you're learning, right? But understand that we're at the formation of a new industry here, and people who educate themselves and participate and become experts in subject matter, in different areas within this space, they're the future of this space. They're the people that will become the experts that people will look to employ. People will look to find these experts in their projects as they kick them off. Big brands, as they kick off their NFT and crypto like projects, they're going to be looking for people, women and men, obviously, that have that background. And so it is an exciting time if you're, particularly if you're starting to think about careers, or if you're working from home at the moment, or you're out of work and you're looking at, well, what am I doing? Where's the next paycheck coming from, or what's my career going to look like? This is a really good time to actually look at that and sort of say, well, actually, yeah, I do know a fair bit about this space, and there's a fair bit going on. If people extend themselves in this space a little bit. And what I mean by extend is, put their hand up and take some ownership of, some sort of community side of things, or even if it's just getting involved in VCs and spaces like this, that knowledge curve grows really quickly. So, yeah, look, I mean, particularly for women in this space, this is a space where you can do most of everything from home, right? You don't have to go to an office to operate in this space too. I work from home, so I love it. I love it from that perspective. I don't need to go to the office much for my other job, and I know, working from home in this space, you've got super flexible hours, and you can kind of do something like it's flexible for me now because it's 6 a.m. Well, 6:24. So, yeah, no, I love it, and I think I'm looking forward to sort of seeing what sort of careers and what sort of expertise grows from this, and particularly within women within NFTs, because we need more women in this space. It is a little bit still male dominated. Really good to see this panel here, though. You know, two out of three of well, three out of the three speakers, so 50% of us are male and 50% are female. So that's a nice balance, isn't it?
It really is, and I'm so glad you brought that up because I just got done. That's why I was late to this space, because I was speaking to a woman who comes from the multi-level marketing, industry, the network marketing, and she said, I'm here today because I find such similarities between how downlines are created and how communities are created within this space, and she finds that people really do want to work from home. They want passive income. They want multiple streams of income. And what better way than to try and, learn it herself so that she can start finding opportunities to onboard even more people that already have the same values, the same wants and the needs and, experiences to want to be full-time at home in full control of their income, having the ability to be in multiple streams and to be at the forefront of being a brand ambassador for things that they love. So great point there.
Yeah, no. Look, I mean, it's definitely we're at that time. We're at a time where you've got some flexibility if you want to work in this industry, and it is a tech industry, and tech industries have become a lot more flexible than they used to be. I guess in terms of where you can work as well, which is we look for that flexibility, don't we? Now in our lives, I think after COVID, people are looking for change as well. So they're
That's
looking
exactly what
for
I was going to say. Yep. COVID
yeah,
was really like the catalyst for that, right? I think there was a want for it and a need for it for sure prior to that. But I think that's really when people started realizing how much they were able to do from home, how much they were able to accomplish, and just so many opportunities that were available to them that they were sort of forced to realize it, and then it became the preferred option once they realized they could be home and multitask and
yeah.
still take care of those things that need to be done. So great
Yeah,
points
yeah.
there.
I mean, we got. I mean, here in Australia, we had forced stay at home, right, for some time, right? And you guys probably saw a bit of that. But when I think it was 270 days. I think we were forced to stay at home. So, but for a lot of us, I guess it wasn't a bad thing because it did help you reconnect with fam, and it did particularly help businesses and people who were in industries where it was okay to try and work out how that structure would work moving forward, particularly working from home in an industry that supported it. I mean, not counting the industries that were devastated by it, of course, because there's some industries like hospitality that really struggled, but some other industries sort of bounced quite well in that space. It was okay. We're in a tech space. We can work from home. It's not too hard. And now that we're allowed back to work, no one wants to go back to work. Everyone's still wanting to work from home, right?
A- am I bad dunks for saying that COVID was my year? And I lost close family friends, very close friends. My mother-in-law passed that year. My ex got really sick, and was in the hospital for months at a time. But it was my year because I've worked from home for over 15 years. It truly was my year. Because always when you tell people, oh, what do you do? Oh, I work from home. I have a home office. For some reason, they think you just sit around and do nothing all day, right? That you didn't have the ability to multitask and take care of a family and bring home the bacon all at the same time, but it takes a lot of discipline. It's a lot of structure. And I've always had the opportunity to create that structure at home. I had a set place for my office. My kids understood if you wouldn't call me or take the train to my office in Manhattan to ask me where your red gym shorts are, you're not going to knock on my office door and say, "Hey, mom, where's my red gym shorts?" Right? So,
Love
I've
it.
always
Love it.
had, yeah, I had that structure, but it was my year because then we're talking about me getting out. I like people, but I don't like people. Um, Getting out for the first time and really enjoying being outside. God, I feel bad for saying that, but it was true. Like, did you take a moment? Was anyone able during that really bad time to take a moment and realize how the earth rejuvenated itself? How much brighter the trees seem, how much clearer sounds were, how
Yeah.
much the improvement in the environment. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
it was kind of like a reset.
And
And
even what Dunks was just saying about the service industry, right? And like the restaurant industry, I know they took a huge hit. Even that was almost sort of a blessing in disguise, right? Because people realized they didn't need to eat out. They could eat at home. They could go outside and eat at the park or whatever. You know what I mean? Just I feel like people became a little bit more independent.
Well,
yes,
I think people
yes,
connected back with nature a little bit too. I mean, all we could do here was walk, right? You're allowed outside to go for a walk. And so it was funny. Like you walk around the suburbs where I live at the moment, and in this time of year, maybe not so many people out because it's cold, but normally you get a few people. Like you walk across people and you stumble across people. During COVID, it was busy. Like everyone was walking their dogs, right? And everyone bought dogs too. That was a massive surge here in Australia. It's like the
Yeah,
dog
yeah, here as
population
well.
seemed to quadruple, right? So, but everyone was walking. I mean, you'd go down to the local park or you'd go down to some of the walking trails that were kind of more nature orientated and they were busy, like so much for quarantining and staying away from people. It was the opposite. We went down to some of the
Yeah. As
walking
soon as
trails
you told
here.
people they couldn't anymore, they were like, "Oh yeah, watch me."
Yeah, well, we were allowed to go within like 5 or 10 k of where we lived, kind of, and walk. And because no one could do anything else on the weekend, there was no sports on, right? So you weren't allowed to go play football or soccer. You weren't allowed to. The girls weren't allowed to play the netball. Instead, the families would all go out together and have a nice big family work in nature, on one of these walking trails. And it did get chaotic, but yeah, Mistress Money, we did get that chance to reconnect a little bit with nature, and particularly family values a bit too, because you're spending a lot of time with your family again. And it was nice to see that reset. I think a lot of people saw that and they got that reset, and they thought, well, actually, there's a slightly better way to live than just doing a 9 to 5. I'm traveling into an office, doing a 9 to 5, traveling home on a train or a bus, and doing that same routine. And so it was a routine break at the very least for people, and it gave people that sort of idea of, well, maybe my routine can change, and it doesn't have to be, what it's been structured to be for the last 5, 10, 20 years. So that was refreshing. And yeah, it was nice seeing nature bounce back too. I wish we could do a few more. It's like, how they have the Global Earth Days. It was kind of like a mega version of one of those. We got, a lot less traffic for a long time.
Yeah, definitely don'ts, So at the end of the day, some people are afraid to take that leap of faith, in order to try and be an entrepreneur or try to be financially independent, So once you put yourself in a position where you have no other choice, you might be surprised how people tend to grow on their own, starting a new business and stuff like that.
it's like Yomi. When we first started talking about doing the children's book, and she literally sent me a DM one day. She's like, "You understand that I'm on a cliff, and at my back is your foot." Is how she described it, pushing her off this cliff. But the truth is, we had talked previously about her wanting to write, about her wanting to be an author. So is it the same? Am I pushing her off the cliff, or am I holding her hand, jumping off with her? Which is it?
Yes, yes. Sorry, I got cut off. Yeah, that's that's and what you were saying too about, is it bad that it is you for you to say that it was your year? I feel the same way. So if it makes you feel any better, I'm right there with you. You're validated. That's what it is. Because, like you
Yeah.
said, you were already home. You were already working from home, and I've done both. I've had the traditional job where I've had to work, and I've had the stay-at-home job, and I've been a student and a stay-at-home mom and all of the things, and you get that validation, right? Where we didn't have it before, and it's not fair that it worked out that way, but it did anyways. And so now when you tell people, oh, you work from home, a lot of times what you hear is, oh wow, I wish I could do that, or oh yeah, me too. I just started working from home as well, and
Yeah.
now it's not this thing where people are like, oh, you work from home so you don't do anything. It's just,
Exactly. It
yeah,
there definitely is a change in the amount of respect that's reflected in the tone. Honest to God, there honestly is a change.
yeah,
I think because
silver
people began to
linings.
yes, yes, and that's kind of just the way I am.
Yeah,
A lot of people get annoyed that I don't stay in that mode for long, that I flip. My kids call it, Mom, how could you just 1 minute just go off and then be, are you okay, sweetie? Because that's what it is. You can't. I'm not the type of person to dwell in negative emotions because there's just always something reminding me I have so much to be grateful for. My journey working from home started because my children were neurodiverse, and because of that, there was a lot of doctor appointments. There's a lot that goes into having to be committed to that. The waiting time, the behaviors, the tantrums, the school calling. It was just, it was a lot. And so when I transitioned to working from home, and I was very grateful at the time, it was Apple, that they allowed me to do that. Sent all the equipment, paid my internet service fee, all of that. I was very grateful for them for doing that. But it allowed me to streamline my schedule, which was really important, making sure I was able to make appointments with the kids, get them where they needed to be, and still be able to maintain my level of income. That was really important. But it also helped refine that structure. And I began to realize that my kids love that structure for them. With their diagnoses, structure helped a lot. And so I had set specific times where I would, okay, when my door is open, then I'm on a break. You can come in, we can talk. When I'm outside, I come downstairs, I cook dinner. It helped a lot, especially when we talk about being ADHD and the things that can affect your inability to focus. Because the misnomer is if you're ADHD, then you can't focus, you're all over the place, you never finish one task before you move on to another. That's not necessarily the case. One of the things that I learned was that sugar had a lot to do with it, but not in the way that you think. Um, so it had to do with how slowly it dissolved in the bloodstream. So there are certain things that I could prepare at home. Whereas if I sent them to school and they bought lunch or I bought lunch for them, wasn't giving them the same kind of nutrition that they needed. Vitamin D. Did not know that. I did not know that. Vitamin D, a lack of vitamin D, also affects your ability and your moods. These are things that I learned because I kind of had to, right? Didn't really have a choice. And which is why I absolutely love Ramona from the team when she talks about, when you hear her talk about from a scientific background and her specialty in information management and how she just puts things together, really just pull things and put it together so that it makes sense. Um, a lot of what we do, from our moods to our ability to physically do things, has not only to do with the foods we consume, but also your environment. That could be something as simple as a scented candle that reminds you of a favorite memory that can improve your mood. The things that you learn because you have to, right? Because you have to. That's kind of where the world was when we hit COVID. When we hit COVID, it was like just going along. We just knew that we just needed to be out there every day, just pushing forward. We didn't know why. We didn't know why, but we knew that we just needed to be pushing forward. That a woman had to have it all. So you had to bring home the bacon, cook it, and probably kill the pig too, and raise a family and be a wife, right? With COVID, we realized that we can still be who we are. and still capable of doing it all, but we didn't have to do it all. And so we gave up the reins a little bit and are now slowly starting to take back a little bit more of that power, whether we acknowledge it or not, that we lost in trying to be equal. Because let's face it, guys, no shade. I will never take out my trash. I will never fill up my gas tank. You have your purposes. You have your purposes, Dunks and CR3, right? No shade intended whatsoever. We will not have the safe space we have if it was not for guys like you always standing there, happy to stand to the side, happy to stand to the back, or happy to stand in front of us. So by no means is this any shade, but COVID also gave the advance that women needed in Web3. It opened up our eyes a little bit more to understanding that we can find that niche and be comfortable with who we are and going after the things that we want without losing anything in that transition, right? Because it really had come to the point where we had to choose. So either you had to have your career, but you couldn't have it all. They say you could, but you really couldn't because you didn't have enough time in a day to have it all. But it gave us the opportunity to pause, reassess our lives, and simplify in ways that we have not done for generations. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, totally, totally. And I mean, it gave us, or what gave I can see gave women that good opportunity in this emerging space as well, right? Like, opportunity is really important. Like, if you're trying to, you need that opportunity break sometimes, don't you? It's not something that sometimes you find naturally. It's kind of got to almost slap you across the face and say, "Here I am, take me." And so, yeah, I'm glad that's given you that opportunity, Mistress Money. It sounds like that was kind of like a defining moment for you as well, in terms of this realization of what you can do in this space as well. Would that be fair to
Absolutely.
say? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Carmen and I did a YouTube show, her show last week, or was it this week? Yeah, well, this week I think. And her and I sat down and we talked about how exciting it is. I mean, I could literally, and I don't know, boy, mom, if you could do the same. Go back to last year, dude. If you got in a Telegram or a Discord and there was one other woman there, you were high fiving. You were
Yes. Oh
high
my
fiving,
gosh.
bro.
Yes,
Straight up.
absolutely. So
Like,
excited. I mean, I'm still there. I'm still there. We have so many strong, amazing females in this space, comparatively speaking, especially, right? But I'm still there, man. When I go in and I see a woman and she's speaking up and she's getting in there and she's totally into it and participating, I get super excited. I latch on immediately. I'm like, yes, girl, queen, you're here. More females in the space. We still need them. It's still only I think it's 16% females in the space. So
yeah.
we're making strides for sure, but we still need more. And I still latch on to them. I get so pumped when I meet other strong female voices in the space.
I will tell you also what makes a difference is community, right? You know, we have the keyboard warriors that feel free to say and act however they want because they're hidden behind the keyboard, and it has been the way for women to be victimized online. And so you'll find that most females don't rock a female profile. They don't, and they don't for that reason. But I've seen more and more of them, right? People that you probably been talking to for a while, you probably think, man, you are such a super savvy investor. It's probably a female, um, and they're rocking that male PFP because of that. But I am loving the fact that that because we've spoken out, because we've addressed that there is an issue, that we've also gotten more and more men that have stepped up and say, hey, not on my watch. That's not happening. I've got a mother, I've got a sister, I've got daughters. That's just not going to happen on my watch. And so it became less and less of women having to defend, and more guys saying, "Hey, cut the bullshit or just go. That's it." Right? And so I'm loving seeing that we're bonding much more over the sexes and more about community and safe spaces for us to express ideas, to grow and advance and earn in this space like never before. I could tell you last year, as much money that came into crypto was as much toxicity that was with it as well. I don't see that this year. Less money, but a happier space, in my opinion, at least.
I'm definitely more mature.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, Mistress, I have a question for you. What tips would you give persons in females in our audience right now who are trying to start like a business or trying to start their own NFT projects?
What I absolutely love about this space is your ability to connect. If you are either one an artist or a savvy business person, or see or know or think of an idea that you think is going to be innovative. Again, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to make it better, right? So it's not about inventing the wheel. It's from your perspective how to make it better. It has to do with community. It has to do with networking. It has to do with developing those relationships with people that you can feel comfortable with to put out a trusted project. Because literally, I still stand by these numbers. 80% will invest in the team, 20% will invest in the product. Web3 has allowed, especially the crypto space, has allowed the $5 investor to feel as valued as the $20 million investor. And that is a feeling that will keep you bonded to a community, that will keep you whole, that will literally hold your floor above anything else because they're bonded with the team and the commitment to success. So it starts at the top. You have to grow that network around you. Look for the people and ask for references, ask for a resume. Do you think people are like, oh well, 1 year in crypto is like 10 years? No, bro. Can I get a resume? Can I get your LinkedIn profile? Can I get some references? Who have you worked with? These are questions that you should not feel ashamed to ask in this space. Just because it feels like the Wild West does not mean that life only begins when you get here. It doesn't. So it's important to know the people that you'll be working with, to be asking for those references. And if they can't provide it, say, hey, you know what? Thank you. I'm going to see what else is out there for me and be comfortable with that and go with your gut feeling. Trust
I
that.
think I think I think that's a good point. I mean, one of the things I think, particularly for women and men in this space, or anyone who's looking to try and break into this space, is that ability to start to connect with community, right? And that is one great thing I've seen in this NFT space in terms of it differing from other spaces, is a sense of community on projects is really strong. And it's because often those projects people are passionate about, not only just because they're an investor, but perhaps because it speaks to them. I mean, you take SeeME, this is speaking to a whole range of neurodiverse people out there, and it's passionate for people who've got either family members, children, friends who come from that space. So it brings in community like no other project tends to bring in community. And I think look, I would certainly see the opportunity being for people to just push themselves a little bit out of their comfort zone if they want to get into this space. And what I mean by that is every one of these communities requires front people. And what I mean by front people is it could be just a mod, or it could be someone in the VCs that talks and helps other people out. And it could be someone in the chats that's, overly helpful and, is answering questions. But whatever that role in these communities is, it's a way of easing into becoming more involved. And if you're trying to, I think, break into this space as a female, it's really good to take a little bit more responsibility in some of those spaces, and because that will warm you up for bigger opportunities as they come. And look, I mean, the interesting thing is, I mean, these communities, we require community managers, and I'll be frank, I kind of like the projects that have female community managers and or a good balance of female on the admin team, because it's not so I don't know what's the right word. It's not so boyish, I
It's a
guess.
softer landing, right?
It is.
That's how I feel when I go in,
Yeah,
and it's got that, it's a softer landing. That's the best way that I can put it. It's got that sort of genteel feel, even if the
yeah,
woman is very fierce and strong and powerful. With it's
yeah.
still, there is a certain tact that women bring to the space, and a certain gentility, I think, that men just can't accomplish. And that's
Well,
okay. We have our strengths
yeah.
and weaknesses, right?
I mean, let's be blunt. I mean, we don't walk around society and just bang into males all day, do we? I mean, if we're in the household, it's not just all blokes. I mean, God, nothing would ever get done. My wife's away at the moment, right? She's up in the warm part of Australia at the moment, visiting friends, and I'm down here, and I've got a house full of mostly boys, right? And believe me, there is there is way too many boys in this house at the moment. So we need that balance in real life. Like that balance is natural.
That's how
In
it
in
is at
very
my house all the time.
well, I've got four boys, boy, mum. I know you've got three, but I've got four,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Well, I
it
mean,
is
if you can't count Babe's dad over here, we've got four
true.
as well.
I reckon he might count as two or three boys as well. Like he's a big
He
kid.
might.
Yeah. So yeah, look, I mean, so natural environment is female, right? Like they're a big part of our families, they're a big part of our communities in real life. So it's kind of weird when you're in a NFT community and there are no females, because you think, okay, is this like a little boys club? Or it doesn't feel right. The balance doesn't feel right. So I love that, and I think that is the opportunity for. And it doesn't, you don't have to be a female, but you can be male as well, right? But the opportunity is that these spaces require people to help manage them. And that is look, I mean, these are paid positions in some of these communities. Some of them are paid better than others, right? Some aren't paid much at all. But if you're looking to get into this space, it's a good little testing ground for you, to say, well, actually, I'm working from home, I'm looking for extra income, I'm looking for a way to break into the NFT space. Maybe I've got a project I'm even thinking of myself. But as a test, you can kind of jump into some of these communities and put your hand up in those communities, and you never know, some of those opportunities will become paid opportunities too, and give you a good taste for how that NFT space works as well. That's what I'm seeing anyway for a lot of people who are sort of just starting off. It's a good place to test themselves at least and feel if there's a opportunity there or not.
It's definitely a good starting point. I will say that there are two things that I look at. I look at your website. I am a sucker for a good website, man. You want to con me? Just give me a good website, um, because I know kind of the back end that's involved in bringing forth a really good website, and then your community, whether it's your Telegram or your Discord. I go through vetting projects by checking their response time when I come in and I say hello, how long it takes you or your moderator to say hello, and then what is the next thing that they say to me. Do I get the hashtag announcements or info, or do I get, so what do you want? Literally, what do you want? What are you here for? Or do I have to, if I ask a question, is it, well, you have to be a holder for me to give that answer, right? Those are things that I test for, because you got to think of it from this standpoint. If you are looking to invest and you're not happy with the response that you got in that Telegram, do you think anybody else will? Right? If you go to a website and visually it's not appealing to you, it doesn't flow right, it's junky, can't flow properly on the mobile. There are lots of gaps. There's spelling errors. Um, Blank or 401 errors come up throughout the website. You got to ask yourself, if that's a red flag for you, it's a red flag for somebody else. So as an investment strategy, those are the things that I look for. For a collaboration strategy, it's the exact same rules that I utilize, because it's important that if I align myself with a project or align myself with people in this space, because it's such this, it is this tiny bubble. Your reputation is all you have. And I'm not changing my profile. I'm not swapping out and coming in as someone else. This is me, right? I've established brand. I'm doxxed. So I'm not looking to align myself with someone who's not going to be credible in this space. Now, we're not talking about honest mistakes. We're talking about credibility. And that's really important in this space because it literally, we go back to old school with this, right? Your word is your bond. What you type, that's what it is. That's what people are going to take it for. So those are important things that you need to consider when looking to either be part of a project or to run a project in this space. You have to consider, how is it going to translate? How can it be read by someone else outside of myself? Because you are in this, if you're a project owner or a project manager, you're not in this for yourself. You're in this to pull people to you, to be a magnet for everyone else. So you kind of have to open up your blinders and look at the world as a whole. How appealing is your project to on a world stage versus a niche, right? And once you define those visions and determine what you're going after, define and narrow down those communities, it helps you set the stage to start building. And building is important. You don't announce today, oh, I'm going to have this project. This is what I'm going to do. No, you build it. You build it first. You build a platform. You make sure you have the tech. You make sure you have the contract. You make sure you have all of the things that are necessary to have a successful project. And then you announce. And then you start to build. I looked at Doobie Doos this week, right? Got in late. And it's rare in this space that you find the artist is actually the project owner. And I used them as an example because I walked into their Discord, didn't know who was, and was just greeted. Overwhelming. Family. Hey, how you doing? Can I answer any questions? Immediately. Wasn't any wait time whatsoever. Come to find out that these guys are the owners, right? They're the core artists. And they're also the founders of the project. But that feeling that I got immediately going into the Discord, I was bonded. I was bonded because I felt welcomed. I felt that I was someplace that I could belong and be myself. That's the kind of community that we want to encourage a lot of other communities to build together, and that's what we're trying to foster at SeeME as well.
Well said, mistress. That's some amazing pointers there. I see we have a speaker on here. I don't know if this person spoke already, but I'm gonna probably open it up to some questioning now. What do you think, Donks?
Yeah, for sure. Let's ask away. I can see L2 up here, so yeah, good time to introduce some Craig.
Take it away, L2 Gardening Service. What's up? What's up? L2 here.
Yeah,
Same as
L2,
if L2.
we've got you up as a speaker, L2 Gardening Services. Did you have anything to share, or unmute your mic if you've got something to talk about? I would love to hear from you.
And anyone else that's down there listening, if you guys have, just any thoughts to share, or you want to agree with some points or come and ask some questions, please feel free to request to speak. We'd love to get you up here.
Seem as if L2 fell asleep, so request to speak, guys. Come up here and ask some question. Let's go.
Could we make him say the take it away again? I miss it. I'm sorry, I miss it.
I want to make a comment, mistress. Can you hear me?
Take it away, LJ.
There it is. Take it away. I just want to say props to all the people out there who are setting up all these layers for this artwork and all this different, I think it's called metadata, whatever that is, because man, that is a time-consuming process. And I know that Mistress Money had to do that with my buddy Cole, who's here on the call. And I'm so glad Cole was willing to stay up till 2 a.m. with her, because I was not able to hang on that move right there.
I am dying, LJ, because I love how you just passed it off. That metadata. Yo, he's right. People don't think about the technical stuff that goes into that pretty profile pic, right? They just think, oh, it's
Yes.
there, and I love it. But man, when you see somebody say it's 236 traits, we're talking layers, guys. When you do anything outside of a one to one, it is layers. It has to be stacked into layers. And
Layers
yes,
upon layers upon
yes.
layers. And then, God forbid, you try and do a collection that has both males and females,
Oh
right?
God. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know. My sister is an artist in this space as well, and I know I've also talked to, one of our developers on another project, and yeah, there's so much technical stuff that goes behind this, and just hours and hours and hours of just monotony, right? And a lot of people are like, they want these timelines, and they want, well, win this and win that, and how is this going to happen, and what are you guys, when are you guys getting to this portion? And it's like, if only people realized how much work and time and effort goes into these things. And a lot of the people that are, working on this art or working on these projects have lives and families and things going on around them as well, right? They can't be a slave to the screen at all hours. And so, yeah, it's a great point. That's funny. I was giggling over here also. The metadata, whatever that is, right? No, it is.
Yeah.
It's very complicated stuff.
It is. It is. I know Cole. I think at some point Cole just refuses to speak to me because
No, no. Hi guys. I'm Cole Yates, one of the co-founders. I was here at the beginning of the call. I was just in transit, so that's why I wasn't speaking up. But just a slight correction, LJ. It was many, many nights up till 3:30 in the morning, not two. You know, I'm a specific person, so I just wanted to make that little correction.
Love
Not one night
it.
till 2 a.m. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, it was a lot of work. A
That
lot of
that would
people
be
in this
easy, right,
space.
Cole? One night to two would be really easy, right?
Right, right. Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks for having us. And this was great. Um, it's great. It's
Tell us,
great that we can
tell
all.
us. I hear you. I see that you guys have been working on animated series and things like that as well. Is that something that you guys are working on at the moment, or is it? Are we still on, still on the, the metadata for this release, or have we moved into some of the video components yet?
That is on the roadmap, and some planning is in stage. I can't say a ton of work. I mean, I guess we have worked towards it, but we don't have a finished product yet. If that answers your question, we definitely, obviously the NFT is a main priority, and the children's book, which is a proven concept. So once we hammer those out and perfect them, and it's released, then we move on. Because sometimes, these things do take a lot of focus, opposed to having it, a little bit of focus a lot of places. Um,
yeah, the build out. So the baseline, the storyline for the animation dunks, comes from the children's book and then moves
right.
on into the graphic novel part of it. And so the children's book is finished. It's
Cool.
done. That's being actively shopped around, and then we're looking at doing both the blockchain publishing as well as real life publishing as well. We've got our merchant account set up with Amazon. And so there are a lot of options to look at. But in looking at those options, also has to be, where do you see it 6 months from now? How do you transition? So it's not something that you sit down and say, like, you take a look at a team's roadmap, or you take a look at their light paper, and that's why ours was deliberately a light paper. It wasn't the complete white paper. We're still building out. You look at the feasibility of bringing something to market, and where do you start? So the foundation started with our book. The NFTs is a way to, it's you can consider that seed money because it goes right into passive income. Where's that money from the mint's going to go? Why are they priced so high? Well, because the other products that come along with it that you have ownership in, by buying the Genesis collection, that means ownership in the book as passive income, in the jewelry line, in the apparel line, and then the book is planned as a series. The whole point being to help create the social movement and the change that we want, in understanding that change has to come, dunks. It has to come. It has to come in our education system, and it has to come within our work environment on how people interact and understand, people that are neurodivergent, right? That
Yeah.
person that you coin the weirdo in your office because they never interact, or it takes them 5 minutes to respond to a question, it's not because they're dumb, they're stupid, or spazzed, or spaced out. It's simply how their brain functions. It takes time for them to literally run through the various amounts of responses that's required at that time, to give you what they think is the most appropriate one. In addition to that, you find that most neurodivergent people are awkward in social exchanges because we've learned the little white lies that are acceptable. It's hard, and people who are parents in this panel will understand what I'm talking about. There's a difference when you're trying to teach your children what's acceptable in society when they're outside of the home. You demand honesty from them, but the truth is we teach them to lie. So that if the person comes up to you and say, am I pretty? You're automatically trained. You've been programmed to say, yes, you are, because you don't want to offend. Neurodivergent child will be, no, you're not. And they're not saying that to be difficult. They're not saying it to be rude. They're not saying it to be obnoxious. It is because for their variant in their brain, that's how they see things. You're asking them to give an opinion on something that they see, and they'll give it from their perspective. So we've got to create that change that we want to see, both in education and in the work environment and in society as a whole. And that's the movement for the book. Cole always says people above profit. I like to think of change through profit, right? By being able to make it a profitable foundation for those that invest by
Yeah.
buying
Why
one of the
not both?
Genesis collection. Yeah,
Yeah.
that we can create the change that we want.
Yeah, look, I mean that's really important. I mean, I guess for those who haven't heard, I mean, it might be great if Cole or LJ or Mistress, one of you, just quickly talk about how this NFT project is going to use those funds, or what its goal is to try and make that change. I mean, how does it impact people's lives? How is this? What are the main mechanisms for SeeME in terms of how it's going to impact neurodivergent people and their lives? What do you think the main kickers are there in terms of how this project reaches people? Because that's what it's all about, right?
Well, firstly, this is more of Ramona's lane in terms of the technical aspects, but what I can speak on, just right from the get-go, is building a community of people, that may have people in their lives that deal with different neurodivergent conditions, and just bringing awareness. Because there was someone on a call last week whose brother is actually autistic, and we shared some info with her, and she didn't even know that there were particular resources out there that that could that someone could get access to. So just building that community for one is a huge thing. um, knowledge isn't power. A lot of people like to say knowledge is power, but I completely do not agree with that. The use and ability to use knowledge is power, because you could know everything in the world, and if you don't do anything with it, it means absolutely nothing and has no value. So we have this knowledge, and we want to build out resources and a virtual care system in the metaverse. So say a family has one of their children who has a neurodivergent condition. They can access these resources and virtual care in the metaverse, whether it's through counseling or whatnot. And not just, we want to obviously open up for mental health conditions as well. So someone could actually seek a counselor in this virtual care space, and they could be anonymous, or, as they build rapport with the counselor, they could, reveal their face. And then it even allows them to find a counselor that they can connect more with, whether it's by race or ethnicity, or just culture. Um, there's a lot of different things that we'd like to do with that in terms of the resources provided. Like, for instance, to give a good example of how these resources could be used, one of the children in the children's book is Desmond, and he's actually a family member of mine, one of my cousin's kids, and they live in a very rural town. So their access to resources to help them raise him dealing with autism is very limited. So something like this would, significantly help a family in that position. That's kind of the surface level answer to your question.
There is Cole. If you could explain the gifting part of the NFT, if you're an
Oh,
ally and you purchase their
right,
NFT, I think that's pretty cool too.
exactly. So we're selling this NFT $420. Some people just want to make an investment for $420, make a little passive income. They think the art is cool. They want to get it printed, hang it in their house as a nice art piece. That's fine. But now with every NFT minted, we want that to lead to helping someone. So someone may not need to use those resources. So when you buy and mint that NFT, you're also given a gifting NFT that you could give to someone that can use these resources. So it's almost like the potential of that NFT isn't just wasted because someone just wants to use it as an investment or just as a piece of art or for whatever they want to use it for. The full purpose can actually be um, fully reached. The full potential can be reached with that gifting NFT. I
I
hope
like
that
that.
gives you a little bit more
I like that.
information.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, I like how the gifting NFT brings in, potentially someone in your life that may be impacted by this. I mean, so? Is that part of, just so people know, is that part of the standard mint? If someone mints one of these, they get that gifting NFT. Is that the same? Is that the same type of NFT, or is that a slightly different NFT? That gifting NFT.
Yeah, it will just be a standard NFT that's the same. So everyone that mints will get that NFT is just an image that's across the board. So all 2,000 will have the same gifting NFT that's associated with that particular NFT that they minted. So we would be able
Gotcha.
to verify that okay, this one was minted with this NFT. And so it's a legit NFT, but it has no resale value. Um, in
Gotcha.
the
But
market on the blockchain.
it raises a conversation, right? Because it's designed to be given to people who may need assistance in this area or may need that community in this area, right? So it helps bring that community together.
Exactly. And I mean, here is another option. Um, Someone could very well choose to mint the NFT to gift to someone for just the access to the actual gifting NFT, to have access to those resources. So, there's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, look at. I mean, that's what this project's about, right? It's reaching people with neurodiverse, and it sounds like you've got a number of different pathways trying to do that. Obviously, the children's book is that primary driver, right, and getting that out there. How are you guys going on that front? I've had an up. I know we spoke last time, and there's a lot of different channels that you're looking at there. How has that gone for you guys in terms of those pathways for the book?
Yomi, can you request to speak if you can? Goddess of Kumba. I love her profile. I love her user handle.
Oh, we got it. There we go.
Peace and greetings. How are you guys?
Good, good. We're doing
Hello, hello, hello.
lovely. How are
I'm
you?
good.
Take it away, goddess of Kumba.
Much gratitude for that. Thank you. Um, the avenues that we intend to use for the children's book is mainly you want to get it out to the schools and you want to get it to parents who can read these books to their children, and for children who are able to read, they can read these books in at school and they can be utilized there. But the main purpose of the book, or my drive for the book, was that I wanted kids who were neurodivergent to understand that even though in society at times they're neurodivergence, their variations, are looked upon as negative. They have, they get negative feedback, or it's not looked at as a positive light. But I want them to understand that their variations are actually their abilities. They're like superpowers. So if you have ADHD, that means, hey, you might be able to think about a whole lot of things really fast, and other people can't get that, they don't get it that quickly, or they can't maintain that. But it's a good thing because you can utilize it, because it's your special gift, and you can utilize it and help others. The same thing with I have another character that is he is autistic, and he has a great memory. There are a couple of episodes in the well, one main one, like one of my favorite parts in the book, where he uses his great memory to help out a classmate. Another one is another character. She is dyslexic, so she struggles with reading, spelling, math, but she also has like this really nifty skill of solving puzzles. She can put things together, she can build, she can read maps and do that sort of thing. So even though you may be different, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're different is bad. Nobody's different is necessarily bad. We're all different. So just because you have an ability that stands out, or an ability that people shine a negative light on, I don't want them to walk away feeling bad because they are different. So I kind of show a positive perspective, and I build it out so kids that are neurodivergent and kids who aren't neurodivergent can get a different perspective, and they'll treat themselves as well as others will treat them differently. So that's the main, goal, or the main concept that I want to get out with that book. But I want to get it especially in the hands of kids who are neurodivergent, because I want them to see themselves differently. I want them to relate to some of the things that are happening in the book. I want them to say, hey, yeah, I experienced that, or, I kind of can relate to that. And even the kids that aren't neurodivergent, they can sit there and see things that are happening in the book, they can relate to, because they know someone like that. They may be friends with someone like that. And they may be able to sit there and communicate with their friend and say, hey, is this how you feel sometimes? Or is this how people treat you? Because I want this to be like a gateway. Because if people aren't talking about it, you don't necessarily know, what people are thinking if they're not willing to open up and share it with you. So hopefully this book can be like a portal to get awareness out there, to get people to communicate about it, to get, and especially the children, to get them to realize that it's not a bad thing. It's okay that you're different. Your differences are your strengths. So you have them to help yourself as well as others. So I mainly want to boost them and give them that, superhero ego, because I want them to feel like really good about themselves.
Yeah, like that. That's impacting, learning at an early stage, obviously, right? And as you say, both kids that are neurodivergent and kids that aren't neurodivergent can learn from that. Such an important foundation early
Yeah.
for people to be able to see that, right?
Especially at a certain age, right? That's where that change is going to happen. It's going to be the most impactful at that young age, where kids are, just starting to read and just starting to understand their environment and pick up on all of those social cues, and just pick up on what how to behave and how not to. That school environment is integral for that, and having those types of resources, books like that, that teach them, a different perspective than maybe what would traditionally be taught, or really rather what's not taught at all, right? Because that's the problem, is we don't speak about it enough. We are not talking about it enough, and we're not educating enough about these differences and these kids. And so I have a son who has autism, and I've witnessed this firsthand. It was very difficult for him when he was younger. Academically, he always did really well. Socially, he struggles. He's better now. We've gone through years of IEPs and counseling and speech therapy and social, social clubs and all these different things that they've put him into to try and help with this. And we have had some amazing resources, luckily, with our newer school, but we didn't have a book like that, right? When he was younger, we didn't have any way for like his friends to really understand what it was about him that made him different, that um, you know that took those differences and showed them as strengths. And so it was viewed negatively, or just like he was weird, or we would have kids that would come up to me, and kids are so frank, they're very honest, right? And so they would come up to me and say, why does he talk like a baby, or why doesn't he talk to anybody, or why doesn't he play with the other kids at recess? And it was like, well, that's just the way he is, and he's different in that way. But if you go and do this with him, if you go and sit down with him and play with Legos, you'll see that once you find that common interest, you'll be able to hang out with him and understand him a little bit better. And he's had very few friends for that reason, because people don't understand. So I love that you guys are doing this. I love that this is an additional resource that is very much needed in society, right? Just for these kids, and also just for everybody, so that we can all learn and grow together, especially at that younger age, where it's going to impact them when it matters most, when they're going to be most receptive to it. And then we can create that new generation of people that are just that much better in that way.
Yeah, I love a good story. I mean, maybe one of you, Mistress or Kyle or Goddess, or LJ, could talk about that a little bit. I mean, a good story is great. I mean, how did how have you seen, has this had any direct impact on a kid or somebody that that's read this book already? I mean, what's the early feedback, or what's the feedback on this at the moment? Can someone talk to us about that?
I will tell you that I have clamped down. It's my job.
I
Let
knew
me just, yeah, you knew it, right?
it.
I will tell you this. My job as the project manager is to always make sure my guys are okay, right? And so there's some legalities that I have to make sure gets followed. Number one, we're talking about copyright. We have released in our Discord chapters 1 through 5 as an audio by the author herself, but we need to have that copyright before we put it out there for the world to consume, right? There's also the book proposal that's being shopped around to several different book platforms. That gives us a limited amount of protection, but not the same as if I handed out the book for everyone to read. I will tell you that those who have been privileged enough to have the entire copy, and those who have only been able to hear the first couple of chapters, that the feedback has been 1000% all positive. All positive. Um, and I had to literally stop Yomi from going back and editing over and over and over, because she's a perfectionist in that way, to make sure that the storyline continues to be clear, that she breaks down the words, and really think of it from the mindset of a child between that age category, between 6 and 12. But honestly, um, just to make sure that the purity of the message comes out, right? And so that's where we're at now. The book is done. We wanted to have both the book and the NFT available at the same time. And so just, it's literally a signature that's left for the copyright. Um, and it's all, they're already established as an LLC, so it is a legitimate business. Um, the next decision that the founders need to make is whether or not they want to release on the blockchain first, or if they want to go straight to Amazon. And that's when we're going to start putting it out. We're actively recruiting right now for an illustrator, because the book comes in 5 forms. We've got the limited edition audio, um, that Yomi's going to be, we're going to be putting on the NFT marketplace, that's going to go out to the blockchain. That limited edition, if you buy that, it's done specifically by her, and of course you'll get the physical copy as well, right? And then we have just the ebook without the illustration. Both versions available on the blockchain, off the blockchain. And then you have the ebook that with the illustration, and then off the blockchain, the physical book itself, right? The illustration part is where the toughest, I have to tell you, is the toughest because we go around the table in terms of the book cover. And even though the book cover can change, it's trying to find the right one that not only fits the story that we want to tell, being involved in the project as a team, but also the story that Yomi wants to tell as the author of the book. And so we've gone around with that, and there's a few that we've narrowed it down to, but that's all that's holding it back is the book cover. Um, the majority of the work is done, but all of the feedback has been absolutely tremendous in terms of, um, is it going to be impactful? I had to get a little emotional hearing Yomi talk about the book, um, because I'm a parent to neurodivergent children. And I know distinctly for my son, his trauma wasn't because of his condition. His trauma was because of school. New York City schools are brutal when it comes to the IEP, and going through that process, and the education and the services that are provided in the classroom. You got to remember that everyone learns on a different level, and he's not stupid, far from it. Brilliant young man. Sit and have a conversation with him. I guarantee you, you'll be elevated. But the thing is, how we teach our children, the resources allocated to teaching our children, to making an environment conducive, to learning, is what our focus needs to be. So when Yomi and I sat down and started to discuss ideas for the book, our biggest impact was flipping the script on what you would normally perceive, a classroom to look like. Instead of Zeke sitting down in a chair, he's a very active child. He has ADHD. So he's sitting on a ball, which scientifically helps, right? At his desk, there are all these little doodads that he can utilize, because remember, his superpower is being able to concentrate on more than one thing at a time. So when we do the illustrations, they have to be impactful. I mean, we have to find the right artist to make sure that all of the story comes through in its purest form as the way we want it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, sure. That's great. Yeah, look, it sounds like there's a little bit of proofing or final stuff to happen still, but looking forward to hearing about that next step in terms of actually getting it out there. But I mean, amazing if the early feedback on that is you're getting some really strong feedback in terms of what it's going to teach, and that's what it's going to be all about, right? So that and it is education, as you've been saying, like it's about letting people understand what this is about, and that differences are good. And I can't wait to see that final copy. That sounds amazing. Sounds like you're getting pretty well progressed there too. So final stages, hey?
Yeah, and it's not only just in the U.S. that we're concentrating on. I am from the Caribbean. I was born in Trinidad. And I will tell you that family members, which CR3 could probably relate to this, right? First thing out their mouth, ain't nothing wrong with that boy, right? Ain't nothing wrong with that child, right? I could tell you, it is the norm where you kind of force them to fit, and in forcing them to fit, you can break them.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, but people, uh, the school system is broken. It's worse in some places than others, but
Yeah.
we're teaching kids to test. We're teaching kids to memorize things and then be like these robots that can take information and then put it back down on a piece of paper and not really retain any of it at all. We're not,
Correct.
we're not at all recognizing as a society, especially in the educational system, that there are many different ways to learn one thing, right? Because some children are kinesthetic learners, and that's not something that we teach in schools. Some children learn by hearing it, some children learn by reading it, some children need a combination of those things, and it's going to look different for each child. So we need to focus on these differences and do everything that we can to. Okay, I hear you. Sorry, my.
I love it. I love it.
Do everything that we can to just really give all children all of the tools that they need to learn in the way that is best for them.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
fully support that. Dunks, I'm glad you really asked the question about what the feedback was like. Bro, it is like sitting on a stick of dynamite, not just say to the world, here it is, it's done, here it is, right? Because that's what I really want to do. I'm ready. I am literally ready to go. Here you go. Just have at it. Um, and the team is probably surprised by me saying that because I'm like, we need this first, and we got to get this first, and then we have to have this first. But the truth is, it's you go back, right? And I will tell you, this was the test for me, Dunks. I will tell you honestly, this was the test for me. I told Yomi, I said, LJ's always on the go, but he has transit time. Send him an audio. Send LJ an audio. And let's get his feedback on it. And he was like so into the book. He was like, so what happened next? Because I think she only sent him chapter 1 and 2. And that was the benchmark for me. That was the benchmark for me that said, yeah, this book is pretty great because this is not a child. This is an adult in transit that literally 12 hours out of a day, he's focused on building. He's doing things. He's in and out, creating, um, you know, with his gym and the training that he does, the coaching that he does, it's time consuming. So his brain is always thinking of something that he needs to do next. The fact that it was impactful enough to slow him down and get him to take a moment and not only follow through with chapter 1, 2, and 3 and wanted to know more, that was my benchmark.
Fantastic. Yeah, that sounds like you've hit the nail on the head there. And as Boyman was talking about before, not all kids learn in a different way in the school system, particularly, and seeing my 5 kids go through the school system, it's kind of built for a particular type of student, and it's not flexible enough now to really cater for the diverse range of kids that we have and kids that learn at different rates and different ways and with different talents, right? And there needs to be more recognition of that in this education system. And, so no, really big props for you guys in what you're doing here because, it doesn't matter what the difference is. And, obviously with neurodivergent kids, we're talking about, significant differences. It's about catering for those differences, isn't it? And, we certainly in the schooling system, one of my boys was a difficult learner. He had a bit of auditory processing, wasn't great at learning, right? And the school system really wasn't for him, because of that, because of the way that he learned was more hands-on or more visual. He struggled with some of the ways that, this typical school system would deliver information. And so, this is fantastic. It opens people's eyes up at least to, the differences that kids have and, the different ways of learning and the different strengths that they bring. So I'm all for, variation in school now and school systems to be shaken up a little bit and to understand these differences and actually look, it's difficult because the school system's such a big system and so it's slow and hard to change. But we do need change in that system. We need a better understanding of the different types and styles of kids that we have, and the different ways that they learn. And we kind of need more flexibility there. That's for certain. That's what I've seen as a parent anyway. Is that it's kind of a one size fits all often, and we don't need that. We need lots of different sizes to slip on here. We need lots of different styles and lots of different ways of connecting with kids to get the most out of them and, to stop them feeling like failures. Because often kids that are in school that don't learn the typical way, they feel like they're failures because they're not fitting in, or it gives their confidence a real knock on the head too when the traditional system, which teaches in a particular way, isn't for them. They feel like, hey, I'm not very good at this, and so
I
we
love
definitely
that the
need.
one size fits all. And let's be real, I'm a woman, and we have a lot of those types of clothing items, the one size fits all, and they never work. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
just not. It's not it.
yeah, and that is the education system to a degree. And look, I get it. I mean, they've got a tough job to do in terms of they've got to try and educate millions and millions of kids, right? So they've got to have a system in place. But in this day and age, with technology, with better understanding of differences and kids with particularly neurodivergent differences, there's got to be more and more resources now put at educating in different ways. And so obviously this book, if I'm keen to hear maybe from LJ in terms of how that impacted him, those first three audio chapters. But if we can impact people in that way and people want to learn more and understand more, and you know, it helps teachers as well understand the differences. And that's kind of what this project is about, right?
Oh yeah, I would love to hear LJ's feedback. LJ, I don't know if you're still able to speak. I
Maybe
know he
not.
was in,
Maybe we
yeah.
caught him out on that one.
Yeah, no, well, he was in
We're all
transit at the time.
multitasking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in transit at the time, but I will tell you what I'm most excited by, guys, when you think about it. And by no means are we the only NFT for good project. Um, is the fact that through Web3, through the blockchain, we're able to bring about the social change that we need, that we seek, that we want. Um, that it's not just about, oh, you can create this NFT, which is the misconception of most people. You can create an NFT and all of a sudden you're sitting on millions. Oh my God, that is not what the blockchain is, people. I don't care what the LFG guys tell you, what the Moon boys tell you. That is, no, you can't give 20 and receive 20 million. It does not work that way. I'm sorry. Um, I am more excited by the innovation. I'm more excited by the ability through um, communities to help build, bridge, and create the changes that we want. I've been looking at other projects that align with ours and what they're doing, and how they're changing the space and the narrative a little at a time. A good example of that was Hijabi Queens. I followed them, um, and you listen to these stories, and I don't understand how you could not, how that does not crack some part of your armor, one, as a woman, and two, as a human being, to understand that for a 20-year period that they were victimized by their show of fate, by wearing their hijab, what that actually meant for other people looking. And so I liked the art, you know, and I just happened, just was just purest of coincidences, just happened to hear Doa speak. And she said, "This is my expression of freedom." And boy, I was all ready. I'm telling you, boy, mom, Bara came off and I'm ready to burn it, baby. Let's march
Oh,
together, right?
I got mine. I got mine.
Yeah, I'm ready to burn it because all of a sudden, what really hit home for me was, wow, look at the power of Web3, look at the power of the blockchain to finally give voice, to a community that has been so impacted by our political system in our society for the past 20 years that they can now celebrate and be celebrated, for that difference. It was impactful to me personally. And I'm looking forward to seeing much more of those. Whether it doesn't have to come down to a show of faith, does not have to come down to promoting change through our education system by a project like SeeME. It doesn't have to come down to, an ethnic, cultural, country, religious, any of those categories. It doesn't have to come down to any of that. What it comes down to is people getting together to help change the narrative and to open minds to differences that can be celebrated together.
Yeah, my sister and I were just talking about this, right? About the NFT space and what it's full of, and what kinds of people are here, and it's diverse, right? As with anything, but I know that we both kind of agreed we're here for the good of it, right? We're here, we want more of that, and those are the projects that I try to invest in. I don't really care too much about the flip and profit. And don't get me wrong, I love profit, right? I'm going to take my profit, and I love money just as much as the next person. But I stay here. I spend, God, some days 15, 18 hours in a Discord or in, Twitter spaces or back and forth, not because of that potential profit, but because I see that there are so many people, so many projects that are just trying to utilize this opportunity to do good, because it's the first one that they've had that is a realistic opportunity for them to make a change like you're talking about. And regardless of what that change is that they're trying to make, if it's something that's for the good, for the betterment of mankind, for the betterment of a specific group of people, if I see that a project is working towards that good, I'm probably going to put my money there, because that's something worth doing. That's something worth having. That's something worth building, right? And I know there are a lot of people in this space who are here because they see those quick flips, and they'll buy into the hype of projects, or celebrity, clout, whatever. I'm not here for that. I'm here for the good. So I again, that boils down to why we keep having you guys back, right? Because we see that you're working toward that good, and I love that.
And
Yes.
what I like about your project as well, Mistress, is that you're building a community and you're actually working with people from the community to be a part and be involved in that project. Because if my memory is serving me correct, I think Yomi wasn't Yomi on this space when you met her. If my memory is serving me correct.
She was part of Tribe. I love Tribe. I don't care what price Tribe's floor is at. I met some of the greatest people that I think will be friendships to the end of my days through Tribe. Um, and at the end of the day, that community, the feeling that I got being part of a community, and I'm talking about people from all over the world, guys, like learning, interacting every single day. It was my pleasure to go in and say good morning. That's the feeling that I want to have. That is what I want for everyone to have, to be part of a community where you can be yourself and be accepted. That's really the goal. Yes, we want to create the change to help improve the lives of neurodiverse people. Yes, we want to help improve the education system and the work environment for neurodivergent individuals. But at the end of the day, what we're building is a community of like minded people that just want to be. Can I just live? Can I just live? Right? That's exactly what it is. And I'm a big part of that. I'm a big fan of jumping in your Discord and getting as hyped as everyone else. When I see a community that's thriving and growing together, I don't care what your floor price is. What I care about is that you're actively involved and you're progressing at the rate that you need to progress at, to keep building that community, to keep building that steam.
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of what a good community is about. It's about inclusion, isn't it? And I mean, obviously, with what you guys are doing for the neurodiverse, obviously it's about education. But as you just said, it's about building a community as well that they feel like they can belong to, or helping them in their own space build that community or have the tools to build that community themselves. And, that's just human foundation 101 is humans require community. We require that social interaction, and that social interaction will vary depending on who you are, right? But we're humans. That is our nature. Our nature is we need to feel like we belong, and we need to feel like we're part of something. That's such an important part of what we're doing. And so, yeah, look, any projects that are doing that well and trying to aim for that social change in terms of helping people in different communities come together and feel like they belong, that's a powerful thing. And so, yeah, great having you guys back in our space. And we love having you guys here talking about this because, this is one of the projects that is not about money. It's not about money at all. And there's so many NFT projects that are, right? But, we love talking with projects that aren't about the money, that are about positive change and helping people of all types feel like they belong somewhere, right? And
And it
that's
can be both. It can be both. Right.
Can I point something out to you guys? I found the greatest Discord ever. No shade to any other project. And she's here listening. Elevate NFT. It's yoga. You know my fat ass ain't doing none of that, right? I'm just telling you all. I'm not doing none of that. The body is too old to be bending in any of those spaces. But, I'm not gonna break anything at this age. It
there's
ain't
some
gonna
honesty.
happen.
There's some honesty there, mistress. That's some good
Right.
honesty. Yep.
Straight up, straight up. But I will tell you what I love about her community going into that Discord, right, was the greeting. Again, coming right back to being embraced, being celebrated, asking honest questions. Hey, I'm from here. And me being free and comfortable enough to say, I'm from Blakely, PA. Can you imagine a year ago outing yourself like that? You couldn't. You couldn't because there was always this fear, right? Not anymore. There are communities that allow you to be you and be happy and then be embracive. And Elevate is definitely one of them. I cannot wait for their event coming up. And the art is pretty cool. I'm just going to have to plug that. The art is pretty cool. But it is also about um, mindness, wealthfulness, such a word. But just about taking care of self, taking that minute, right? Taking that minute and just reflecting on the good that we have. So much time. I don't know why I did it this morning. Um, I clicked on my notification from CNN and I was like, wait a minute, we had another shooting.
Oh,
And oh my God, and I just felt like all of it just drained out of me. And that's why it's important to be part of communities that help embrace, that kind of help refill your cup, so to speak. That there's still some good in this world. There's still something good to celebrate. I call Get It Done. That's what I call LJ, Mr. Get It Done, because he always has that mindset. Hey, if we can't go over the mountain, we can't go around the mountain, we can't go through the mountain. Look, let's get together, get some shovels. We're going to go under the mountain. He just keeps pushing forward. And I love that. I love the fact that no matter where you may be at in that moment, that a simple hello can literally transcend your moment right there. That someone cares enough to say hello, hey, where you're from, right?
yeah.
Um, it's important. I might be corny, but
It's
I think it's important.
no, it is corny, but it's like corny in the best way. It's beautiful, right? And sometimes things that are beautiful like that are kind of corny, but that's one thing that I really love about this space too is we're sort of we're creating this bridge, right? Because you were just talking about clicking on CNN, and it drains you, right? You feel drained after um, just after consuming the mass media that affects so many people's daily lives, and we get on and we read the news or we watch the news, and it is draining because it focuses on these negative things. And I think more and more people are becoming savvy to that. And one thing that I love about the NFT space, and these types of spaces that we're having right now, and the Discord VCs and the Discord general chats are wherever you're comfortable interacting with people, you are sort of getting the best of both worlds, right? Because the only way to combat that that nastiness, that negativity in the mainstream media used to be that you would have to go outside and you'd have to talk to people, like you said, to refill your cup, right? Or you'd have to go and be with your family or go to a family gathering or whatever and get that. Now we have this really interesting new way that we can be filled back up again right here, still using social media, still using the internet, but in a way that's much more positive than getting on and reading a news story or watching you know, a YouTube video or whatever. We're interacting with each other in a way that just we haven't been doing successfully, right? You had Facebook and all of that when that was at its height of popularity. It's kind of dying now because it's so grossly sugar coated with people just living lives that we all know is not reality. But here we can be real with each other, and that's what I love about these spaces. We're sitting here, we're talking about our lives, we're talking about reality, and even when it's things that aren't, necessarily the most uplifting or positive things, it's done in a way that's genuine, and that in and of itself can be, fulfilling in a way that just consuming media prior to the way that we're doing it now is just not. So, yeah, I love it. I don't even do it anymore. I don't watch the news or read news stories anymore. I just spend all of my time here in Twitter and Discord.
I mean, yeah. That's the power of community, right? Power of what we're doing in this NFT space is, a good project or a good community brings firstly common understanding of something. It bonds us on an understanding of a topic, or on. It also gives us common, you know, basic identity as well. So it allows us to connect with each other through a shared purpose, and that gives us identity in a community. And so when you're participating in these communities through that shared understanding and through that shared purpose, you suddenly find that you have this kind of shared identity with all these people in your community, and you know who they are. You understand why they're here, and that as I said, what I was saying before is, that's human nature. Humans need those things. They need to feel like they belong in some way. They need that identity. So that's a really powerful thing in this space. If we can get
Yeah,
that right, we can get that
yeah.
right in Web3 and make these community projects, whether they're for money or for not for money, right? It's at least a chance for us to, form stronger bonds in life and stronger,
Connect on that
yeah,
human level.
stronger
Yeah.
connections, which is such a fundamental part of being a human and being living on this planet. We need connections. So yeah, I'm
It's
all
just the
for it.
irony for me, right? That's really what it's so funny because we're connecting in this very, like you said, this human way, human to human, but we're doing it online. And I don't know. I guess it still kind of blows my mind. It's mind boggling. Like it still is a mystery to me how I can get online and be so fulfilled every day and not leave my couch, right? And not leave my home.
Yeah, yeah,
Because there's no judgment. That's the key. Let's be frank. You go for social interaction in real life, and you have to worry about how you look. What are you wearing?
Yeah. Got to
Are
do
you
my
wearing
hair.
makeup?
Got to
Got to
fix
do
my
your
makeup.
hair. Yep.
Yeah.
You have to give this overall impression of perfection when our lives is anything but perfect. Um, and I now have a great selection of pajamas. I got to tell you, Walmart is my spot, people. I'm telling you, Walmart. I live my
Girl, it's
best
yoga
life.
pants all
Yoga
day,
pants for you. There
every
you
day.
go.
I don't do yoga, but I wear yoga pants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I have a tremendous collection of pajamas, because they're comfortable. The pants are comfortable. I can wear them outside with t-shirts that go from long sleeve to short sleeve for every type of weather, um, and still get to be me. I can get to be as forthright, and I think the real advantage to the technology that has come about, um, the beauty of what is going to unfold with utility and medical care and access for mental health, is going to be the ability to take that avatar without the fear of judgment. Because I will tell you,
Yes.
for the BIPOC community, you think you could have a conversation going, yep, I'm sorry, I got to, ship out. I've got an appointment at 2 with my therapist. Now, all of a sudden, you get classified, right? What do you mean you got an appointment with a therapist? Since when you're doing that white thing? What the hell? Mental health is white now? Right? I will tell you that's an honest conversation I've had with friends. And so I've been a long time advocate for being able to take that moment that you need, and do that mental health checklist with yourself. And if it requires assistance, then take advantage and get that assistance. And the beauty about Web3, the beauty about the metaverse, is being able to rock that avatar as that persona, getting that help that you need till you get comfortable enough to reveal, if you wanted to, who you are in real life. I cannot personally think of any better advancement for technology than to promote mental health wellness. Because if you are healthy mentally, you're happy, and it promotes better interaction in society. You have a more
Yeah.
embracive society. You have a society that's looking to move forward collectively.
Right. And we're better people for it, better parents for it, better friends for it too, right? I mean, just even within our own social circle or our own immediate family, we're going to be better for it. And when we're well, those
Yeah,
around,
guys.
we're able to
So
help
I
those
don't know if
around
you're
us as
hearing
well.
me. You kind of got cut off, mistress.
We can
No,
hear
I
you,
can hear
Sierra
you.
3. Yeah.
Why, you ready to go? Take it away.
Take
I
it
missed that.
away. Yes. Yeah. Speaking of taking it away, we are getting close to the 2 hour mark here. And I just wanted to say thank you so much to you guys for coming and sharing with us what's going on with the project, what's going on with the book, all the updates. I look forward especially to seeing that finished product. I know we're not there yet, but you know me, I want to get my hands on it. I can't wait to give it to my sons and have them read it, and I can't wait to start seeing it in the schools and just being able to share this with the world. So I'm super excited that you guys came back and gave us an update and just generally coming and hanging out and sharing, being yourselves, who you are, and sharing that with us.
Yeah, and I mean that's a great thing about, I think we were talking about this before, Mistress. I mean, this is a space where we come in anonymously, right, and we feel a bit safer because we can hide, we can hang out in our PJs. I mean, I'm sitting here in my tracky dacks, right, so we can hang out
Yeah.
together. We
Hang
can
out
we can
behind
be a
our
bit anonymous,
PFP.
right? Yeah, with no judgment, we can be a bit. But the weird thing is, and this is you talked about it before too, boy, mum. I mean, we're online here, and technically that shouldn't be a good place to connect, right? Because we're not in the real world. But do you know what? That initial anonymity in terms of being able to just feel like you've got some protection there, and that you've got a barrier between you and judgment, I guess that enables us to make bolder choices. It
Mm.
enables us to basically reach out a bit more and to stretch out of our comfort zone a little bit. So that's the
I think it
power of
sort
this
of
space, I
redefines
think.
what real is too, right? What is
It,
real, right? But we were thinking
yeah,
of real as person to person contact, right? Like we're standing face to face, eye to eye with somebody. But maybe that's not what real is, right? Maybe the connection is what makes it real.
it is. I mean, that is it. I mean, you can stand in front of somebody and you can whitewash your whole life in terms of not be real. You can put that white wall up and paint it and make it look as good as you want to make that wall look. But until you actually knock a few bricks out and peek through, you're not going to get the real person. And that's what this space can enable, because it enables people to, you know, pull down that barrier a little bit and peek over and actually dig a bit deeper. And that anonymous sort of, hey, I can sort of say things without being judged immediately. That gives people a little bit more freedom to be themselves, and that's what makes connections. If you're hearing the same thing from somebody in terms of their life, and they're whitewashing everything, how deep can that connection go? Not very deep. It is about actually hearing about people's struggles and real life things, and where their weaknesses, and the fact that we're hanging around, someone's wearing pajamas at the moment, but understanding about their kids, understanding about the not only the big things but the trivial things as well, and getting an insight into those. That's what builds real human connection. So I'm glad that this space is a conduit for that, and it helps people sometimes who are afraid to step out of their comfort zone find that little bit of courage and participate. And we certainly support that here. If you're listening in, or you might be the first time or you might be one of our regulars. I can see a lot of our regulars in the crowd, right? I hope that this space particularly, and the spaces that we exist in, give you that sort of sense of comfort and desire to want to reach out and connect and feel like you're part of something. That's really important.
I did want to add quickly before we run out of time that I took a screenshot of everyone that's in the space before I forgot, because you're just going to be our guinea pig. Let me put it that way. We're going to test our mystery box. Um,
Yay!
so
Yeah,
I'll be
somebody,
a
no,
guinea pig.
some,
Me. Oh, I'm so glad I stuck my real PFP in the audience too.
somebody's in the space is going to be the guinea pig and receive our first mystery box giveaway. So yeah, but you got to give me some time. I'll probably send it to Boy Mom or Duncan or CR3 Media. But I took a screenshot. So that box will be full with lots of goodies, and I'll even drop a hint. Could be something like a hush blanket. Could be some
ooh,
other
You heard
projects,
her. You all heard her say
PFPs.
my name first, right?
Yeah, could be some
No,
really juicy stuff.
we're
Could be.
Never eligible usually for the giveaways, and so
oh,
I will say I would love
yeah.
for that to go to one of our amazing listeners down there.
Look, it is so damn cold here. I need a hush blanket. I don't know what they are, but I need one.
Did we just FOMO you for hush blankets?
I'm FOMOing you. Is a hush blanket warm?
It's
That's
like
all I need
a
to know.
weighted blanket.
Oh, yeah, I
Yes,
know what
it
they
is
are.
Yeah,
probably Cole's favorite thing. I will tell you that because he was the one that turned me on to it.
I love weighted
Yeah,
blankets that are
my
amazing.
I actually know my wife has bought a few for the kids, and yeah, I could be using one right now. It is bloody cold here, so hush blanket, FOMO engaged. I need one.
And before we step out, I just wanted to drop another teaser. If I'm not mistaken, I have a Twitter space that's scheduled for this upcoming Tuesday at 1 p.m. EST. It's like a author Q&A. Um, 9 times out of 10, I'll probably read something out of the book because people usually want to hear something out of it. So if you're able to, just make sure you show up for that because you might get a little sneak peek of the book if you haven't already. And if you don't follow us already, you can click on that pin that's at the top and follow us so you can get notifications for that.
No, we
Yes,
appreciate
and join
that.
that Discord for sure, you guys. Definitely great stuff in there, and you guys heard that you can get those first few chapters there as well if you want your little sneak peek there.
Yeah, and appreciate that mystery box giveaway to Mistress Money. Just let us know. When you screen something, just by the way, it's really hard sometimes to track down their real Twitters. I've noticed that, so just be aware of that. But come back to us and we can probably help you track them down if we need to.
Oh,
Look, if
absolutely. Yeah. We're going to be testing out the feature. So once we're able to set it up to work properly, I will definitely send you as a matter of fact, I'll do it now before I forget, of the pictures of the people who are in the audience. And that way, when we pick one, you'll know who it is.
perfect,
Perfect.
perfect. No, that's great. Well, yeah, look, I think it's getting that time. I mean, if there's anyone in the audience that wanted to come up and quickly say hello or just voice any thoughts, now's the time. We're going to wrap it up in a second or two. So, yeah, feel free to, if you've got any questions or you just want to say hello, then put your hand up. Doesn't have to be a question. It could be just, where you're at particularly as well. So we will wrap it up pretty soon, though, because we'll be going for 2 hours, and we do appreciate everyone for coming in today and listening and joining us again. And can't wait for next time. And yeah, it's great having you guys back on the SeeME project, and we're really excited to hear and see what that next step is for you guys. So thanks again for coming in.
Yes, absolutely. And I
Thank you for
am
having
gonna
us.
I'm gonna make sure to save the recording for the space. So it will be recorded here on NFT Thrive. So anybody, maybe any community members that you guys have that would have liked to have been able to attend but couldn't for whatever reason, should be able to come back here and listen to that recording also.
Perfect. And just at the end here, we've lost Craig for his final take it aways. What's
He
happened?
did. That's okay. I'm gonna play us a song. I'm gonna play us out.
Hang on, he's back.
Oh,
Hang
just
on.
kidding. We might get it after all.
Yeah, I need that take it away, Craig. So if you're listening, adding you as a
No,
speaker.
I'm on my way to work, guys. I've got rugged a bit right there, but I'm on my way to work, so background might be a bit noisy. But it's been a great space, enjoy you coming through, Mistress, and SeeME, so continue to champion for change, continue to champion for change and, continue to build brick by brick, so take it away, guys. I'm off to work until next week, Tuesday.
Very
Thank you
good.
so much, Sarah,
Thanks,
today,
Craig.
and thanks for your multitasking skills today. I know you were getting ready to head out, so we appreciate you being able to come in and give us that take it away and share a little bit. Mistress, I just got those screenshots. Thank you so much for that. We'll get that squared away as well. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We appreciate you all, especially our regulars and anybody new coming in that stayed with us also to just hear the message and hear what SeeME is doing. We appreciate you guys as well, and we hope that you will join us again Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we look forward to seeing you then with another project that we'll be talking to as well. So thank you guys. I'm going to play us a song here, and we're going to end this space. Have a good one. Happy Saturday.